Mamma was saying more about emergency social and some say how see a POG Media. And your first time I share has your bit me a subscribe to the channel. Now what me I told the notification bell so that be an next time beyond be able to my own be the first person on side bit me a day I can be. Channel some political stories are trying to make whips and make headlines and a chance in night be exum ever housing. Na ene ye he aksama eda pronsoa na eye Exp0se a benum friend and introduce yakon. Busy cross our friend Cheddar. Now, papa to me equal approval on the 16 regions of Ghana. We take 11 days. Now, the policies are hot door. Any church I would do good a quemu Emma Ghana for a bra or bono a prono. And now, it be at me a raising a whole lot of controversies. Menoka say you go to a yidi home come and swado who be brave and a papa or say Ghana for 82 million emana obitimi aboa na amagana so etimi ababe fan to mapa efra na say ni swado huin and a menoka say a year MPP ni NDC etimi a trigger the whole lot of controversies omuhuni say omuso anyo want to year and some of a pay can not at me akoto Ghana for suma. Saying you vote to put on Bessena, Nessie be about baton and Oba Beji Equita or Ghana Housing. But your for transit, you will must say, na ye team or more conscious mom say, I'll see a year POG Media. Yentuaso.
Of course, build a great nation, and this is Nana Kwame Bediako, popularly known as Freedom Jacob Caesar or Cheddar for some people. And it's almost 3 months since he announced his bid to run as president here in Ghana as an independent candidate. How is it going so far? Well, he recently embarked on his listening tour across all the regions. I want to find out how that is going. And of course, some statements he's made has generated a lot of conversation, but he's here in the studios with us and he will speak to all of that. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Bella. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, we're glad to have you. It must have been a busy couple of weeks because you embarked on your tour, the listening tour. Yeah. How many regions have you visited so far?
About 8 or 9.
Wow.
Yeah.
In the space of how many weeks?
11 days.
11 days?
Yeah, it's been very hectic.
I can imagine.
Yeah,
now tell me why you dubbed it the listening tour.
Well, the listening tour was something that I wanted to do very different from all the other campaigns that have happened in this country, because as you already see, you're seeing that we are not following the traditional political way of campaigning. We want to do something very different. We want to be able to interact with the people. We want to reach the people. We want to connect with them. We want to know their problems. We want to know how best we can govern them if we had the chance. And so we decided to go out to all the regions. 1, to listen to them. 2, to do research, to research the mineral spaces, the farming spaces, the potential of all the regions, because our #1 policy is regional industrial revolution, to be able to create economies in all the regions and then consolidate the economies to create an increment and an impact in the economic prosperity of this country. So we decided to do it that way, and it's been tremendously insightful.
I can imagine. So based on the research, I don't know if that has been completed or that's still ongoing for all the regions that you visited.
We're still, currently we've realized that 69.8% of the people are just looking for jobs. From the sort of statistics that we're putting together. The analysis is telling us that the regions are lacking jobs. And then the season of having something is when campaign kicks off. And that's when they sort of get compensated, or I don't know if you call it bribe, whatever it is. Apart from that, it's quite tough for them. There are people who are saying that they have finished either university or they've educated themselves, but there are no jobs. There are women who are looking after both husband and children, and they're in their 30s. So it's quite sad out there. We're in Accra, so we might not be able to see a lot of this and feel it. And I don't think a lot of people have come back to tell us what's really going down in these areas. But this is just the 16 regional listening tour. We're about to do the 275 district campaign tour everywhere in Ghana. We want to really see the country. We want to see the problems of the country. And not just because we want to become a leader of this country or the president of this country or the government, but it's also because it's in our interest to see how best we can help our country and the people of the country.
Now, beyond just the about 60% or more who are unemployed, what are some of the things that have shocked you in some of these areas that you have visited?
Some of the things that have shocked me is the disabled world. Their industry is completely forgotten about. You know, they used to have some jobs when their towing booths and all of that were there, but you know they've lost that as well. And then they're coming to the streets more. But you know that's the people who are in Accra. They get the opportunities to come to the streets to beg. Yeah. And when you go to the regions, they're literally villages, and they're supposed to be states. You know, but I think with the industrial revolution that we want to put in the regions, it would help such people, and then we have to have them in mind, because I've already helped disabled people here to use tricycles to go into Uber businesses, and they've employed disabled people, and I've studied the South African disability program, which really is helping the economy, it's helping the people. So that's some of them. The other one, which is really touching me, you know, it's the women of our country. You know, because you know I was raised by my mother, so I advocate for women, and I have a strong thing for why can't the strength of a woman be demonstrated, you know, within our economy. So I realized that, you know, they're hardworking. Some of them are farmers, and their husbands have lost their jobs, so they end up having to cook, work, take care of the children, and do everything. And they're really begging that, you know, we should have a change. So, you know, jobs and everything would be, you know, apprehended to this sort of people, and then through that they would be able to sort of get a balance in life that they're looking for.
Now you talk about women, and that brings me to the Affirmative Action Bill, because that's something that, you know, as a country we've been pushing for a long time. It's still not been passed into law. That has delayed for so long. If you should become president, how soon are you looking at ensuring that the Affirmative Action Bill is passed to ensure that women occupy, you know, equal number of positions and are also treated equally as well, and they get to make decisions just like the men?
I mean, three mottos for our new force and even our presidential ambition and governmental platform that we're building. One is equity, two is equality, and three is empowerment. And you can see clearly that we're following that trend and that path. I mean, people might not see that that's what we're doing, but trying to create a 16th industrial revolution, meaning that whatever resources that belongs to the country should be shared adequately to the people. And that is the equity we're talking about, you know, human equity, state equity. People have to get their share. If you belong to Eastern region and there is cocoa there, you know, you have to benefit from the cocoa processing, from all of that. And then equality is making sure that there is fair treatment for all citizens. So we care about disabled as much as we care about women and the youth. You know, we feel like they have taken a lot from these three parts of our country. Youth, they are robbed of their age and their time. So before we realize they're 30, 35, and they're still looking for jobs, which means they've passed their building their career time. You know, women are mostly kept in the kitchen, or feel like, okay, we're going to give you chop money, and I feel like we robbed women of their rights, and women contribute equally to this world's succession. I believe that if we are able to empower our women, our economy can change drastically. Our ways of living can change drastically. And I think a man and a woman together, it's paired. It's like a pair of shoes. We're supposed to equally do things and make things better. So I believe in these things. Yeah, I do believe.
Well, in 2012, the NDC had promised that they were going to ensure that there was at least 40% representation for women in the late president's government. That didn't happen. The current president had also promised 30% representation. What are you promising? If you're talking about equity, equality, are we looking at a 50-50, you know, equal share? Is that what you're referring to?
Well, Bella, I think that promises are a bad thing in politics. I mean, the best time for someone to promise you is when they want to marry you.
Well, even that. Even that.
Well, as long as they invest in a ring first, at least you're guaranteed of something, because then they're exchanging something before they give their promise. You know, when they give you empty promises, then you're waiting for it to be fulfilled. And a lot of that can go backwards. Now, not to say that people intentionally do that. Sometimes it's circumstances beyond their control.
Yeah.
You know, so a lot of these things, I don't blame some of the government. I think that they just have a template that they use, you know, to convince people just for voting. And then my worry is that, is it about the human beings and the country, or is it about the party and the chair? Well, I'm more about the human beings, the nation building. I'm more about national development, you know, that these things are, I get my buzz from it, you know, being able to develop things, being able to change things. I'm a visionary. So I want to be able to make that change. But I don't think I want to come with a promise that I promise all women. Because you're scared
you might not be able to.
No, I'm not scared. I'm not scared at all. I think that promises are bad things when you just keep saying it.
Okay.
But having a purpose can lead to what people expected from promises. You know, you just need to have a purpose that I have to do this for women.
Okay.
I have to do this in my nation. I have to do this in my country. But you're not saying I have to do this for you. It's just that generally you believe that it has to be done. That is purpose. There's the difference between purpose and promise is huge. You know, politicians like promises. Leaders like purposes.
But you say you're not a politician.
I am not. Honestly, because I don't understand politics the way politicians in Ghana understand their template of politics. But I definitely understand leadership, and I think that even if you're a politician, you still need leadership skills to be able to govern a country. You need a couple of skills, you know, not just leadership skills, but you need, you know, scalability, command to be able to do things the right way, because you're not doing the things for yourself and your family or for your own interest. You're doing things based on what the national or the public are demanding, are expecting, you know. And so
you don't think they've showcased leadership so far?
I wouldn't say they haven't.
Okay.
It's just that it hasn't gone the way people are expecting it to be, because if it had, then we will be known for a booming economy, a developing country that people appreciate or are talking about. But currently,
Timamsa Mokwaba lecturing social says Afina Bawumia House POG Media political stories training make waves make headlines and IDB among our house. Inti ya chance ya boja fonso ajin kunya meno kasei nsema ekoso Ghana house Єlimin pense mu na eye honorable nana ntwebu siakon bawuram o bala mundi program so meno kasei ona no edwetwen komo efon policies ahodo ho a obetimi ede aboa Ghana man yahwe bakansem bebre impo epo a oso obetimi aboa amana bekumase sanso ena uyini firi ho nso a wase former president John Dramani Mahama the policies of the Babantano 24 hours economy no only the say bogus cry because the idea bandy a chance you run so ye ni intini oka share so say I see POG.
The Bloombergs and the CNN and the BBC have branded Ghana as, you know, a crashed economy, and inside the country as well. A lot of people are complaining since we started going around that there are no jobs, there are no this and that and that. So even if the vacancies was maybe 10% before, I feel like it's grown times 3 or 4. It's becoming more and more.
And it needs to be fixed.
Yeah, but it could be the fact that the constitution of this country has become a template that people are worshipping. Whereas, you know, they might have good intentions before they become a leader.
Yeah.
But the party itself might have its own political agenda, which has nothing to do with the country's development, its vision. You know, i.e., somebody will start something and somebody will come and ignore that thing.
Yeah.
Well, we're supposed to be going forward as a country. We're not supposed to be biased about who has to do this and who have to do that. And I think that's where the problem is. So for me, I don't believe in blaming people. I don't believe in excuses. I'm
Yeah.
strictly a non-believer. I believe in finding solutions to problems, so I like action.
Well, so governance is, a continuation. Basically, that's what it is.
It
You're
should
talking
be.
about a national development plan that we should all follow so that whoever comes into power can still focus on what is needed by... We do have that. We do have that, but that has not been followed. Are you saying that if you should be voted into power as president, you're going to go back to that and ensure that whatever was advised to be done then will be done?
I will not necessarily go back to whatever that is written by them as a national plan, because most of these things are cut and paste. It's very well written when you look at some manifestos, a whole lot of promises and this, and I'll do this and that and that. But it's one thing to say, it's another thing to do. And it's not as easy to do it than to say it. I would have a plan.
Okay.
A plan that it's suitable within a time frame, because these are some of the experiences I've acquired already. Being able to put maybe 108 apartments in a space of 3 years, it's a lot of planning, coordinating, communication, construction, development, investing, and even operation. So if you have like a regional plan,
yeah,
you might not be able to do all the 16, but once you start and 7 is kicked off and it's proved to the country that you have created 100,000 jobs per region, which is 700,000 to 1 million in total, you would have reduced the deficits a little bit, and that could be a template for people to continue with. But this is not rocket science. It's something that once we're able to do that, it would be difficult for people to want to get back or retract from that. They just want to go forward because, yeah.
I see. So if that's the case, I want to understand a statement that you made while you were on tour. I think this was when you went to the Ashanti region.
Yeah.
And you talked about the fact that you want to bring the sea or dredge the sea into Kumasi so that you can open up a port there to make it easier for the containers to reach there. I'm sure you've seen the reactions to that statement.
Yeah.
Are you surprised that people are reacting this way?
I'm not surprised. I'm actually happy because, I was looking at the national games to be a big thing, and then to have one statement made and it's kind of competing with the whole national games, it's a great trend, but I have to be able to explain myself to people to understand.
Okay.
My vision is not to come and sort of push or encourage people who are traveling out of this country to go and buy things and bring it back to sell. My vision is to bring industrialization into this country, and then after let it become a template that African countries can also replicate, just to stabilize our economy. Now, if you're talking about industrialization, you're going to see that one of the main things that is needed is logistics. And logistically, our country has only roads to deal with.
Yeah.
When you go to anywhere in the world, Asia, Europe, everywhere, they have railways and they have the water bodies.
Yeah.
It's called water transportation. You have the ferries, you have the canals, and then besides the canals and the ferries are new cities that are coming up in areas where people are living. So for me, I looked at Ashanti region when I was there, since I do my research in almost every region, and I realized that maybe 30% of the furnitures in this world has probably come from Ashanti timber.
Yeah.
How did they even get it out of that place? They must have been driving a lot of timber logs, tracks, and going up and down, and then you're talking of gold. We were at some point the second biggest gold producers, and I think the most gold comes from that sector. You're talking of farming. There's so much, and I like reading maps. So, I've been doing it since I was a kid. Since I was 16, I found out that the Atlantic Ocean, the Indian Ocean, and the Pacific Ocean has surrounded Africa. So it makes it like an island as a continent, where I realized that people only cross the water to come to Africa to search for treasures, opportunities. So when I was looking at the map, when I was in Techiman, I discovered that they had river tunnel there. And the river tunnel goes all the way to the border.
Okay, that's the map on the screen.
Yeah, so you see it. Tunnel is somewhere there, and it goes to the end. You see second D is there. And then when you come to this end here, you see that's tunnel there.
Yeah.
And tunnel comes all the way to the sea. So you just open it and it's connected. You just dredge it and it's connected. It becomes a pathway. It's been sitting there for hundreds of years. No one has connected it. Okay, but tunnel leads you to ḻE槤bà. ḻE槤bà is the biggest cocoa producer in the country. Where are their cocoa going? And if we're distributing it amongst 10 regions or even within the West African countries, you still need to connect it there. Now, on the way from Kumasi to Takrady, you will see River Pra and Oti. And you see these two rivers are very close and they connect. There's the Akroma river, you see. So they are all there, but we just haven't dredged to connect them. So when you look at Second D or Cape Coast, look at the Pra. It's connecting to Cape Coast. All that edge that you're seeing there, that black edge, is the sea.
So that's what you meant by saying that you were going to bring the sea to Kumasi.
Of course.
But it was going to go through where?
It would take the river bodies. It would take the water bodies. That's what dredging is about. The dredging has to meet another water. You know, it's like you are taking debris and you're opening the space so the water can flow. And you might cut through a path to extend it. So some of it might have a little breakages, like you see where Pra is.
Yes.
Pra is coming all the way to Second D. And you see, if you see Pra, you see that it's crossing through Kumasi.
But you see, it's not that easy to just connect, especially when we're dealing with Galamsey and the fact that most of our river bodies are, at the moment, in the worst state possible. So have you considered, and that's why a lot of people are asking what the feasibility studies are, have you looked at all that, looking at ways to clean up our river bodies even before you connect?
That is the dredging. That is the investment, okay? We need to understand one thing. Investment and development is key, okay? And when I say investment and development, I don't just mean houses or businesses. When the investment we put in our people, the investment we put on our land, it can last us 500 years of returns, one investment. Now, people have done dredging in 500 BC. There were no excavators. Hard work. They moved and the water crossed and they joined. Egypt did it those days. And today, Egypt is one of the biggest, should I say, strongest economy in Africa.
Because of the Suez Canal.
Yes, it's connected. You open your country up. Now, God created all of these things and gave the human the brain, the natural things around us for us to decide ourselves how we can expand things, how we can make things work. When the English people were building their underground system, there were no excavators. They used chisels and hammers to do that. Today, we have a whole lot of excavators and we're just sitting there and littering things into our water and throwing garbage into it, but we're not using it. I am talking about coastal transportation because the future of Ghana and Africa will be based on industrial revolution and it's about to start. That is us making sure that we manufacture our resources so we don't go out there to buy it again. Because the people who are taking our resources, bauxite, we go back to China to buy aluminium and bring it back after they go and refine it. So I don't want that. I want to be able to introduce industrialization and let our children, let the nation, our country learn how to turn the bauxite material to alumina and then from there to aluminium. This process, 1, 2, 3, can create 100,000 jobs in one plant or two plants. And I'll tell you why. Because this plant, they are robots. They work 24 hours. Meaning that people will start working 8-hour shifts.
So you agree to the 24-hour policy?
I don't agree to any 24-hour policy. I agree to a 24-hour shift if you have industrial power. I don't know any 24-hour policy you're talking about, but what I'm saying...
What I'm talking about, I'm referencing what former President John Dramani Mahama said.
What did he say? How do you understand what he said?
Well, he says that we're going to ensure that the economy runs 24 hours. And so
how did you understand that?
That means that, I mean, just like we have in New York and the other places, we're going to have businesses run 24 hours. So you don't have to wait till morning before you can go and even apply for a passport.
How are you going to let... That is what you are saying something and you're trying to refer me to him. But I'm saying that if somebody says something, they have to have an explanation. How that 24-hour is going to... I'm giving you how 24-hour shift work is going to happen. It happens through industrialization. because it's a machine that is working 24 hours. If he said that, it's different. He did not say that. So I'm not referring to what he's saying.
Okay.
And I think that you have understood what he's saying without knowing how it's going to be done.
No, you can't judge just because you're
because I thought that's what you were saying.
No, I was just asking
so you're taking your words back.
No, I'm not taking it back. I'm just asking you that, are you referencing what the former president had also
no,
said?
I wouldn't be here saying what I don't know.
Okay.
I'm only talking about what I understand, and what I know is best in terms of industrialization. Because if people work from 8 to 6 and there's another person coming to take over the shift from 8 to 12 and 12 to 8 and it's going on and on. For me, my interest is the 3 ways of creating jobs.
Okay.
And so if the workers are 10,000 by 8 to 6, you have another 10,000 coming in after and after. So instead of creating 10,000 jobs, now it's 30,000 jobs.
Okay.
And I think this happens everywhere in the world that is well developed. They have their industrial areas and, they create a lot of things and they sell to the world.
Okay. Let's go back to the issue about, dredging the sea into the other river bodies. Now, I'm monitoring some comments, and there's one who's saying that, but some of these water bodies serve as, drinking water for some communities, etc. Now, if you're trying to connect the sea to some of these bodies, of course, we know that the issue of salination also comes up.
Absolutely.
And that affects the livelihood of the animals that also drink from these water bodies. Okay, so can you explain that then?
Because, first of all, what canals do a lot of things. There's irrigation system that comes out of it, so it helps farming. Okay, there is purification system that can come out of it, so it helps the nation. Because once you industrialize the connection, then you can do a lot of things with it. It's like industrializing cocoa and then making sure that the manufacturing processes become 3 or 4. We're going to find what to do with the waste of it, and do different things with it. So it's the same thing that is going to happen with our water bodies when it's connected, because at the moment we are throwing things into it. It's deserted, it's left, it's not being used, it's not being run. People are not sailing through it, people are not driving through it. It's like a road. If there are potholes and the road is busy, you have to fix it. You have to cover the potholes because the road is busy. It's the same thing with water. Once they start to use it, they service it. Okay, and I think we are running from industrialization as a country. We are running from it. This is the only thing that will save our economy. Once we connect this, look at the difference that it will make. If PRA and OT is connected, and then some sea from Second D is pushing the water towards Kumasi, and now Kumasi can have a vessel with 100 containers if they have to deliver something.
Can we see the map again?
Yeah.
Just so we have a better understanding for those of you who have just tuned in. So if you look at Kumasi, the water bodies, it goes all the way to Afram. But that means you're going to have to bring it somehow into Kumasi itself, which is what you had mentioned earlier.
It's just connecting the waters. Look, my point is very simple, Bella. We have all these water bodies in this country. Not one of them have we connected. There is no water transportation in this country. I can give you a perfect example in Addo. The water is meeting the sea right in your face. Now, this water goes maybe 100 kilometers further. If there was any port right there in between the water and the sea, you have a huge power of transportation. That is, if on that water lane there is gold, there is oil, you can now start transporting it. But what it has become is a residential use. So there's no commercial or there's no industrial use for it. There could be fishes, that could be our fishing area. So we don't import fishes anymore because now we industrialize the water and there are lots of things going on. But today you see a few houses along the way and people just maybe cruising 1 or 2 boats on there. But I'm just saying that it meets the water. So there are lots of rivers in Ghana that is meeting.
But it's going to pass through land. And that means having to break down some buildings? Because if you look at Kumasi,
there could be settlement. There is nothing wrong with regentrification.
Okay.
Gentrification, it's...
It's only policies are odo papa yi se odi egu akwema obabwa ama etimi aboa magana etumi afa no ntoma paide efra hye no so am se ha sei POG Media political stories here training make ways make headlines and I be a sumo channel so say any da ultimate ma Bawumia so which subscribe to the channel hit on the notification bell na fi bibia intimi enye kama so the next time bia na ebetimi de change say nso atimi abraho at this point in time we will be see sadumura na dia dum ye na ebesen e share channel so Akroma.